Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome back to another Sims 4 speedbuilding video. So in today's video I'm doing something which I've wanted to do for a really long time, and that is to build a little pub in Windenburg. Now I always see Windenburg to be a kind of a place that a load of young adults slash teenagers slash kind of like students live, and I think it's because with all the items that come with Windenburg, a lot of them are very college themed. They've got a lot of like university kind of logos or potential university logos or something like that on them, and it kind of makes me want to play in Windenburg a little bit more. And one of the things I've wanted to do for a really long time is actually build a little pub in Windenburg, and I kind of feel like it fit in, especially with that kind of student kind of vibe that I get from it personally. And also I just really wanted to build a pub in The Sims, and I couldn't think of a better place to build it than Windenburg. I know that this world is set off kind of like Europe. I think it's mostly like Germany or like German kind of culture kind of thing. I'm not completely sure. I don't really know exactly where it's based off, but it's kind of giving that vibe, like that kind of Tudor kind of vibe. But I decided that I wanted to build it in Windenburg because a lot of pubs where I live are very old. So a lot of pubs where I'm personally from are normally, they used to be old buildings in the Tudor times, and they've eventually just become into pubs. Possibly some people used to live there in houses and now they've just been converted into pubs. A lot of places that I actually live, a lot of the pubs that are near me, they have like a pub downstairs, and then a lot of the people who own their pubs just live upstairs, which is really cool. But I didn't do that in this build. I decided to make it just a purely pub slash restaurant. So I did actually make it so there is the exact same, or the exact items you need for it to be a restaurant, and the exact same items you need for it to be a bar. So it can be either or. This is going to be my save file, and I think when I place it in the world, I'm actually going to make it a bar, just because this is placed on a lot which is called the Shrieking Llama, I believe, and that was a bar before. I didn't really want to change it around too much, so if you want it to still be a bar in the world of Windenburg, it can still be a bar. But this makes no sense what I'm saying, but it basically, I'm just replacing the Shrieking Llama with a little pub. It's basically what I'm trying to say. So as you can kind of see, I've already moved on into the inside. So like I said, this is a restaurant slash bar, and the downstairs area I tried to make it as bar like as I could, and so I add this bar which I believe we got with Get Famous, and it literally just fits it so perfectly. It's literally a classic British kind of old pub style bar, and I used it, and I'm so happy that we actually have that in the game, and I'm so happy I've kind of held off for a while to build this so I could use that bar. And as you can kind of see, I've moved on and doing the floor plan now. So you would see me doing these walls just inside of the rooms. It looks really strange, but I'm just about to explain it. So basically I'm using these, I don't know what they're actually called, but you can see what I'm using on the screen now, and I put them on top of the wall. So I covered them, I created these walls, and then I used that little tool with that certain object. I don't know what it's called. I think it's called like a spiral or something like that. It begins with an S, I think. I'm not actually completely sure what it's called. I probably should have googled it before I did this voiceover, but I used them and I just put them on top of the wall, and so when you go into tab mode, it looks like they're beams on the ceiling, and I thought that was so perfect because it is a pub and it's set in the Tudor times, and a lot of Windenburg has a lot of Tudor houses, and there's kind of the theme throughout Windenburg. I've decided that I want a lot of my houses in my save file to kind of have that, just because it is a very old traditional kind of way of a house. So if you go into a lot of pubs or houses that are built or set in the Tudor times, then they would typically tend to have a lot of beams. It's just kind of how they used to build houses back then. I'm not completely sure, but I just really like that, and so I decided to do it in this pub today. I have actually done that before. I thought of the idea back after Strangerville was released, because I did a build called the Cozy English Cottage, I think it's called, and that's when I decided doing it then. I haven't really done it since, and so this is only the second time I've done it, but it looks so good when you go into the screenshots, and in tab mode it just really brings it together. And I think if you was to have your sim come here with their friends or whatnot, they could definitely take some really nice pictures in this pub because of the beams in the background. It will just make it seem more like a pub, and especially for students as well, I kind of think that this is kind of going off a little bit of subject, but I kind of think if we're getting university, which by the way I think that we're getting, I think it might be like called the University of Windenburg, not the pack, but like one of the universities that you can enroll in. So there will probably be multiple. I'm just going off old Sims games. I remember in the Sims 2 there was a few different universities, I think, or there might have just been a few different worlds. I'm not completely sure, but I reckon that one of the worlds will be called, or one of the universities you can attend will be the University of Windenburg, just because it's very style influence to me. There is so many different objects that just kind of scream university, and I'm really, really surprised that we didn't actually get Windenburg with university, because there's just so many objects that it just says university so much. I've said university so much in this voiceover, but hopefully you agree with me. I know a few people also think the same thing, so it's not an unpopular opinion or anything like that. I am also very convinced that university is coming next month, and I'm saying that because I've said this before in the video. I think every single time I have a deadline at university, or I've spoken to other people about it and they say the same thing happens to them, or when it's their exam season. So whenever I have a deadline for uni, there's always a new pack coming out on either the same day as my deadline or a few days either side of it, so a few days before or a few days afterwards. So normally I will have to like rush and try and do my work so then I can actually play the game. So I'm actually thinking that university is coming out possibly like around the 14th or 15th of June. And I actually have a deadline on the 3rd or 4th of June. I'm not sure what my deadline is. I probably should check that. But around that time, I have a deadline. And around that time is EA Play. Now, I don't think that they would release a new game pack, expansion pack, or stuff pack when everyone's at EA Play. I feel like they would probably have early access to it or something like that. I'm not completely sure, but I think it's coming out around mid-June. I'm going to say like 14th or 15th, or maybe towards the end, just because of EA Play. And I kind of think it's going to be an expansion pack, only because we haven't had an expansion pack in 6 months, 7 months, something like that, maybe 6. I'm not completely sure in the timeline, but we haven't had one in a while, and there is definitely something coming next month. I'm positive of that. I'm not like confirming this, but this is like my personal thoughts. I definitely think there is something coming next month. In April's Maxis Monthly, we actually got told that in the next 6 months there's going to be one expansion pack, one game pack, and one stuff pack. And if you spread that out, that's like one every 2 months. And so it's been around a month and a half, maybe 2 months nearly. So I definitely think there is something coming in June. It has to be, because otherwise they would all be coming together, and it just makes sense for one to be released in June. And I just personally think it's going to be university, and I really, really hope it is. I don't know if anyone else has done this. It might be a bit strange, but I have this one favourite sim of mine, and I really want to play with her, but she's a teenager and I don't want to age her up, just in case university comes and it's available for teenagers or young adults. And so I haven't played with her for a really, really long time, because I'm just waiting for university to come out, whenever that will be, because it's probable that it's going to come out at some point. It kind of has to. There's been the Sims 2 university and the Sims 3 university, so I'm kind of feeling there's probably going to be university, and a lot of people talk about it and how much they want it, and the Sim gurus have said that they do look on Twitter and they read all the forums and all that kind of stuff, and with the amount of people and the amount of volume that the want for university has, I feel like it's definitely going to come at one point. But I have this sim and I don't want to play her just because I want to play her when university comes out. I don't know if anyone else has done that, but she's just my favourite sim that I've ever created, and she's aged up to a teenager now, and she's just about to go into a young adult, and so I won't play with her because I just want university to come out, because I want to send her to university. I might be the only person that's done that, but hopefully I'm not. Hopefully there's some other people that have done the same, because then I'll feel less weird about it. But anyway, moving on and speaking about the build a little bit, as you can kind of see, I was having a bit of a glitch with that little door there. I managed to sort it, it's absolutely fine, but when I deleted, I think it was when I pulled the foundation down, something glitched, and then the door was still technically there, but it wasn't a door. But I just switched out anyway, and I actually picked the Strangerville door with the kind of like the coloured glass in it. Beforehand I just had like a normal Strangerville glass with a letterbox. The one that I've got in the back kind of garden area, that one I have in the back garden, I also use in the front. But when that glitch happened, I decided to switch it to the other one. But yeah, so you can kind of see the main structure of the build is come together. I've done the landscaping, I've done the windows and the floor plan, all that kind of stuff, and now I'm just moving on and doing the exterior. So with this, I wanted there to be a pub garden, because to me, going to a pub garden on a nice sunny like Sunday afternoon is so nice. You go there and there's loads of people there and everyone's really happy because it's Sunday and it's a nice relaxing day. Sunday is like my favourite day of the week, by the way. So I absolutely love Sundays, and I feel like this is probably the perfect place to bring a little family on a little Sunday, maybe in the summer or coming into spring kind of time, and you could just come out here, have a couple of drinks, and there's a monkey bars for the children as well. And I did also put some dog bowls down so you can bring your pets here. I'm not really sure if cats would want to come here, but I mean they can if they want to. I didn't put one of the scratching posts or a litter box in, but you can bring your dogs here either way. But moving on, I am now moving on into the bathroom. So with the bathroom, I decided to do them first just because I kind of wanted to get them out the way. And when I was doing this, I had the biggest problem because I was trying to put in these little soaps and I was trying to fit them in between the cabinets or the counters, in between the sinks, and I was having a bit of a mare. In the end, I just realised that I can just go on to over the, like a bird's eye kind of view, like over the top view, and then I put them in that way. But you can kind of see that these bathrooms are just very plain. It says what it does in the tin basically. It's just like a toilet and some sinks and stuff. And now I am moving on and I'm doing the little kitchen. So like I said at the start of this video, I wanted this lot to be able to function as both a bar and a restaurant. And because it is technically a bar as well, and I'm going to play in it as probably a bar, I didn't want to make the kitchen too big and overpower it if you're not probably going to use it. And so I just did this small little cute kind of country style kitchen just in the back corner, and I thought it was really, really cute. There's one chef station, so you would only have one chef working here. It's really, really cute. I absolutely love it. It's just a small cute little kitchen, and just in front of it I put this bar. So this was the bar I was talking about from Get Famous. I absolutely love it. There is this really kind of worn swatch that it comes in, but sadly it didn't come in the kind of wood that I wanted to use this build. So I just kind of went for a more up to standards or cleaner version of it. And now I'm just moving on and just doing the back of the bar. So when I was doing this, I had a big problem with trying to place stuff because where I put them beams, it still recognises it as a wall, and so it's a big thing and it wouldn't let me do it. And then in the end I just realised that I could just delete the beams just while I was doing this little area and then just add them back in. So I'm really happy that I discovered that I could do that when I started the build and not at the end of the build, because I did it throughout the whole entire build. And I feel like if I would have tried to put all the paintings down when them beams were there, because they were basically trying to like clipped the beams, then I would have a big problem and it would have taken me twice as long. So I'm really, really happy that I figured that out when I did. We can kind of see I put a load of different clutter of different paintings just behind the bar. I put some kind of drinks menu, so I imagine that a load of people come here maybe to get a sandwich, so maybe the club sandwich is on there or the daily wrap or something like that, I'm not sure. But I put some beer ones and then some cocktail ones as well, which I thought was kind of cute because you can have the beer menu and then the cocktail menu. And I just absolutely love this bar. Like I said, I'm really, really happy that I waited for Get Famous to finally do this build. I've had this build in mind for a long time, I just never did it, and today I just sat down and I was like, right, I'm just gonna do it. And I'm really, really happy I did, because I can't actually wait to play in this. But now moving on, you can kind of see I'm just doing this little fireplace area. So in this build I did actually do some exposed brick. So I do this quite a lot. I always do the wallpaper and the flooring just before I go in and actually furnish, just because it takes me a really, really long time to realise what I want. And especially this one, with them beams, it acts as if it's a room, so you have to go and put individually the wallpaper down on each kind of wall tile, if that makes any sense. And so it would have been way too long for me to keep that footage in anyway. But I did do this exposed brick wall just by the fireplace, and I also did it by the bar as well. I wanted to kind of just have an exposed brick wall, and I used the same brick that is on the exterior of the build as well, so I think it just ties in really, really nicely. I used the cats and dogs fireplace, and then I used this get together picture, which I am assuming is maybe like the mayor or someone high up in authority or something like that. That is actually one of my favourite pictures in the game, but I could never really find anywhere to use it because I feel like in a normal family suburban house it doesn't really fit in. I used it in the goth house, and that's when I discovered how much I actually loved it, because I felt like it fit in with the goths. Maybe it was like someone's granddad or something like that. But anyway, moving on, that is completely different subjects. So as you can see, I've just added loads of these tables and chairs into the build. So this can be either used as the pub or the restaurant. I kind of see this to be more of the pub kind of area, or maybe the kind of lunchtime food area, and then upstairs is probably the afternoon, or not afternoon, evening or nighttime kind of area, because you can have like different sections of the build. Well, you can't, but I imagine that you can have different sections of the build to have different purposes. So in some restaurants you go to, there is a like an area that is for a set time, and then they open up another part of the build or another part of the lot area on later on, if that makes any sense. But I was just kind of thinking that this downstairs bit would probably just be for like lunch times, and just to, you know, grab a quick sandwich, have a few pints of beer or something like that. I imagine what this would be down here. I did also add some TVs down here as well. That was one of the requirements if you have a bar, and so that's just kind of what made me think that maybe this is kind of like the lunchtime kind of area. Obviously, you don't have to play with it like that. That is obviously just storytelling in your head. But that's just kind of what I imagined. You can kind of see I just did this massive wall with loads of different paintings and wall decorations. We got a lot of them from Get to Work. I use a lot of Get to Work in this build, as well as a lot of Get Together and I think Cats and Dogs. I'm not completely sure on the other packs, but that's like the main packs used in this build. Maybe quite a bit of Get Famous as well. I'm not completely sure, but the build details of all the packs used and the size of the lot and the price of the lot and all that kind of stuff will be in the description box down below as always. So if you are interested and you want to download that, you can go and check it out. Also, this build will be on the gallery. As always, all of my builds that I do here on YouTube do go onto the gallery. I can't speak today. They will go onto the gallery. So if you want to download this, you can just search my origin ID, which is JessicapieYT, or you can search for the hashtag JessicapieYT or the hashtag Jessicapie. Either way, and you'll find one of my builds, and then you can go onto my profile that way, and then you can download this. But anyway, moving on. So I am just finishing up this little hallway bit just as you walk through the door, and in there I just kind of put like a little side table and a mirror, and I put a kids box as well. I wanted this like lot to be able to have every single member of the family come to, and your kids not get bored, because I feel like if a kid was to come to a pub, they would get really bored, and so I wanted to have a toy box in here. Obviously there is the monkey bars in the back garden as well for them, but I wanted there to be something in case it's like a rainy day or something, so I did just put that in the little hallway area. But now moving on to the upstairs of the build. So I had this like weird thing with the roof trim coming through the wall. This is quite a popular glitch that is in The Sims 4. I know quite a lot of people have had it, so hopefully this gets sorted soon, or at least I'm praying. But where it's coming through into the wall, I needed something to block it, and I realised I could make it disappear if I add like a little room. And so I added this room, but I didn't know what I wanted to do with it, and so I split it into two, and I made it another 2 toilets. So there is a bunch of toilets downstairs, 5 or 6, and then there's 2 up here as well. So there's quite a lot of toilets in this lot. They cater for everyone, so your Sims have somewhere to go to the toilet, or a load of different places to go to the toilet. But up in this area, I imagined that this was probably for more the evening kind of time, or maybe just when the pub closes and maybe the people that work in the pub want to come up here and chill. There is a kind of like games room which I'm going to move on to next, and I wanted that to be kind of like a really cool relaxing place, especially for teenagers to come. I try and do as many builds as I can associated with teenagers. There's not a lot for teenagers to do in the game, and so I've done a teenage hangout before where I literally just created this lot which had loads of different activities just for teenagers to do. And I feel like the upstairs this lot is kind of the same thing. It could be maybe a club hangout or something like that. I think that'd be really cool. I'm not sure which pre-made club would come here, but if you make your own, which I'm sure a lot of people do, I make my own clubs as well, so maybe you can make a club that really enjoys bar games and like bar drinking games and something like that. That's just kind of what I imagined, so I did want to do that little games area in the corner as well. But now moving on, I'm just kind of finishing up this big kind of dining room, and I just add that little sofa from Cats and Dogs in the wooden swatch. That sofa looks really old, and I thought it kind of suited this build because it looks like it's been here for a really long time. But now I've moved on to the last kind of room in this build. So this is kind of the games room kind of thing. So this is where all the activities in the build are. There obviously is some activities scattered around the build. So there's like TVs downstairs, there's the radio downstairs. I used the music player from Get Famous, kind of like the old-fashioned one, which I thought was pretty suiting. There's monkey bars and all that kind of stuff, but there is more kind of older games in here, so I was kind of thinking a load of teenagers or a load of young adults could come up here and do some drinking games and play some foosball and play that game in the corner, which I'm not sure it is, but when you pull the wood things out, I'm not sure what it's called, but whatever that is, you could probably play that. And yeah, so I wanted there to be a little games room just for something else for this block to do, and it could function as a club hangout. As I said, I did debate adding a club flag in here, but I wasn't sure which kind of club would come. So if you want to add that in, feel free to. Obviously when you download this, you can do whatever you want with it. But I am going to end this voice over here. I hope you guys enjoyed watching me make this little Robin Hood pub. I've got to the end of the video and I realised I never said the name of the pub the whole way through the video. But anyways, besides the point, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this, and as always, if you do like my content, then please subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in my next Sims 4 speedbuilding video. Bye guys.